part 2.
Okay, we are back. It's 7:15 and a half, and we're live. Wendy.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. So in light of some time restraints, we're going to go a little faster.
Okay.
So we're done basically with the engineering for transportation. We had another 30,000 for the Dewey Culvert and some general engineering support at 35,000. Okay. So let's move to parks. So parks capital, we have inclusive playground equipment at 100,000. I know in this year's budget we had the inclusive playground, but I don't
Yes.
know.
It was 110.
110, but I think this is,
Yes.
is it
Us-
happening?
Hopefully, we will be able to get this under contract this year, so we will be spending some of that money this year. But realistically, we are already kind of pushing up against the end of the summer by the time. We just got our survey done, it's gonna take some design, we're gonna go through that once or twice to make sure it's what we really want. We're gonna bid it out or get some quotes, which is gonna take a month or two. By the time we get there, and then we'll spend some money getting it on order. It will probably not show up until next budget year, which means we need to pull some of that money into this budget year, next year.
So part of the 110 will be in addition to this 100.
Is this 100 new?
Not all of it. Let's say not all of it is new, but
So some of this is going to be carry forward, and it's all impact fee eligible. So what we don't spend this year does not get moved in from the impact fees money pool. And we'll know that as we come to the end of 24's budget, how much did we spend that's impact fee eligible. Then that's when I transfer those funds out of the impact fee savings account, and it goes into this budget. Whatever doesn't, it's not like a carry forward, it just goes into the impact fees into this budget, and then at the end of 25, whatever doesn't get spent or does get spent, as long as it's budgeted, goes forward.
And Jason, we're hoping to have this all installed by Memorial Day of next year of 2025.
I think we were hoping to have it installed last Memorial Day.
Right, but now
I don't-
realistically, now we're.
I don't know that I have a real good estimate.
Okay.
Yeah.
We currently have, it's in the works, so we've asked for, we've got the voting has happened. Now we say, based on these top play equipment items, what is the installation final price, and what's the lead time to get the information, to get those?
Okay.
ordered? So that's an email that's out, we're just waiting for Bear to respond.
So that's just a goal. It's
Yeah,
Memorial
when we
Day.
find out that, we can say, oh, which one of these items, and what's the lead time?
Right,
Well,
okay.
can we get done yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we'll know more.
And then we have Pick Park surface irrigation water set up at 22,000. Pickleball courts at Middleton Park Place, 200,000. River Park master planning and environmental at 100,000. Those are all impact fees. Jason's going to confirm on the surface irrigation for Pick Park.
That number might actually be low. The numbers we're getting for Grove Park are a little higher than that. So
Okay,
we'll need to talk.
what number do you think I'll put it in?
Let me leave that as Jason to check and we'll.
Okay,
we'll
Jason
have
to
it.
check. Okay.
When you
And
say
then-
surface irrigation, do you mean sprinklers?
Right now, we are using our city water to water the fields out there.
Right.
We just moved this actual splash park off of city water and onto recycled water. So it's still city water, but we use that water a bunch of times. The rest of those grass fields out there, we think we have water rights to take out of the irrigation canal that runs along the east side of the park. So the goal is to be able to tap that water, put that water into the tank, and then use the tank, use that water to water the grass.
So you're not talking about installing sprinklers, you're talking about disconnecting from city and
Correct.
reconnecting to irrigation?
Correct.
Okay.
And then we have 67,500 in the shared expenses below, and that's Parks portion for the shop crew expansion. It's not the crew expansion, the shop expansion for the crew, and the side-by-side. And those work out to be, for parks, 17,500 on the, side-by-side and 50,000 on the shop expansion. That covers the capital piece, totaling 489,500. Then we have parks maintenance. We have reseal and stripe Piccadilly Park's parking lot. We have sprinkler parts. And we have picnic tables and umbrellas. These are every year expenses, 7,000. We have the dog stations at Middleton Park Place and Piccadilly. We have basketball nets, Middleton Park Place. We have new trees, 4,000. Tree removal and maintenance, 5,000. Costs more to remove them than it does put them in. Middleton Park Place, pathway maintenance, and then general maintenance at 38. That comes to 76,000 for parks. In the general fund for capital, we're looking at a new Ford Ranger 4x4 for the building department. They've asked for a 4x4 because they're having trouble when it's wintertime and it's muddy, and a perfect example was Idaho putting that in and trying to get out there to do inspections and getting kind of a little stuck.
It's happened a few times.
Yeah, and so currently right now the building department uses both of the vehicles that belong to the general fund that are parked out front here, and then we're kind of having to share it whenever Jason needs to take a vehicle or anybody else in the general fund. And so we're budgeting for a new vehicle for them this year. And then capital equipment, fleet and buildings, 143,000 out of the savings. And if we go down here, we have the campus savings for the new campus at 572. Administration's portion would be 143. Buildings is 143. Police is 143. Library is 143 in these savings. And then we have a reserve for police vehicles. After the 2024 leases expire, we're wanting to save for police vehicles, and that is in the police capital. But it's down there, so I thought we were down there, so I thought I'd bring it up now. Maintenance for buildings is 32,000. That seems to be a good number. When I say buildings, I'm talking all the buildings that the city owns. So it could be this building here, it could be the library. If their air conditioner goes out, we would split those costs with them. You know, they might pay a portion, we would pay a portion. The police department, you know, so the buildings that the city owns, and that's just maintenance on those. For police, so in the police budget, we have the new detectives, firearms and other equipment at 12,000. We have bulletproof vests, 1,500. Detective vehicle, and Mayor, the chief and also Sergeant Hilke had come to me and said, with getting a detective, I know at the time that we set during our budget meeting, you weren't here. You were not here when they came and talked. We talked about vehicles, and at that point, we had decided that what they had would be enough.
I remember that.
Yeah, and but since then, Sergeant Hilke had come to me as well as Chief Smith and said, in thinking about that, a detective's vehicle, it would be good to have a detective's vehicle because it would not be marked as a police vehicle. So like a Ford Taurus, let's just use that as an example, and it wouldn't take from the police if one of their vehicles is down for maintenance or anything. I believe they have one spare vehicle right now. Then it wouldn't take that vehicle out of being a spare for them if one of theirs is
Okay.
down.
Well, I did not know this, so they'll need to talk with me. And,
Okay,
yeah,
so that's in here. What?
yeah.
This detective's vehicle, would it need the same equipment installations that you would have for a regular street patrol vehicle? I mean, we're talking lights, sirens, computer base,
Kate,
Yeah, that's another
Cage.
41,000 on top of the vehicle.
Sergeant Hilke is here.
do it, you'll speak up there.
Yeah, can you come up here and answer that question for him? Thank you.
So the detective vehicle would not need full setup. It would need a computer, radio, and visor lights. I don't know how much that costs.
Nothing to transport.
No. But a vehicle without spotlight on it, without push bumper on it, that does not look like a cop car. The detective would have to sit somewhere and watch something, a house. You look out, the suspect looks out the door, sees, because we have a Charger with no decals on it, but it's got a push bumper, coming from a Parks and Rec lot,
yep,
and a spotlight.
still looks like a
Their
police
car looks
vehicle.
like a cop car,
Yep,
and it's got Greater Middleton Parks and Rec on the side of it.
So, does it need to be an Interceptor, or can it just be a Taurus?
Just be a regular old car. Could be a
So-
Hyundai Elantra for all we care.
That's
Nothing that Don Knotts would drive then? Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
Well, it would have to be road safe for the winter.
Right. I mean, most cars nowadays are all-wheel drive.
yeah. Okay, so we're just talking about a regular vehicle, not really a interceptor.
Can't you
Okay.
guys confiscate one somewhere?
Try to confiscate it.
We'll just get him one of those cherries that goes like
Great
that.
idea, great idea.
Gotta be somebody
Okay,
doing
let's
something
move
wrong.
on.
Okay, so,
Thank
so
you.
I'll
Thank
need
you.
direction whether this stays in the
Thank
budget
you.
or it
Well,
does.
it makes sense to me to not try to pull one out of the fleet because I know cars break down and, that's, I mean,
Okay. So then,
That
yes.
makes a lot more sense.
gosh, you startled me. I forgot you were there. Sorry.
I hate to keep prefacing all my questions on, but I'm new to this particular budget structure. But I noticed on the wages and new hires tab that the detective salary, the other new hire costs for the detective were $15,050. As compared to what it is that the number is here, what's the difference between that 15,050 as compared to what we're seeing on this Police 2025? I couldn't figure out any way to take any combination of those numbers.
That's a great question. They're not all there.
Okay.
So what is there? I have a little note on the wage and new hire tab. Phones. I have the computer over there in the Capitol, and I have the vest, but there's guns, there's tasers, there's body cams, there's the uniforms, and the badge, and the cuffs, and other miscellaneous things that it's gonna take for, that a new body needs to have. The other thing that we have to think about in this budget for this position is if they promote from within, then they're not necessarily hiring a detective that doesn't need all of the things that a regular police officer needs. So let's say that they take a current police officer now and they promote that person to a detective, then they're gonna need to replace that officer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And so that's why it costs a little more money. So some of the things are here in capital, for police that coincide with that detective new hire, but a lot of it is in their budget in other areas, under uniforms, under equipment.
Okay, so I guess that begs the question again. I'll again preface, I'm new to this structure. What is the true cost of what it takes to, and I'm not questioning the viability of the position, I'm just talking from a budget-minded person. What is the true cost for salary, all of the things we're talking about to create this new position for us? Where's there some recognition of what that true
Okay,
cost is?
so fully loaded, so that's on the, I've switched to the wage and new hire screen.
Okay,
So the detectives, just as just the salary is one thing, but a fully loaded police officer, not including the 15,000, is at 186. That's what it costs the city, $186,790.
For the budget year, correct?
For the budget year, and that's including your employer-paid taxes.
Medical and all that.
And your
Fully
medical,
allocated.
because you always have to assume that they're going to come on board at the highest cost, right? They could then come in at a lower cost, but you have to assume that they're coming in at the highest cost. And then the 15,000 is what it would cost to equip them, not their car, not that. Does that help answer your question?
Kind of, but I'm much clearer on it now than I was. Thank you
Okay.
for taking the time on that.
Yeah, no worries. And so then that's police, and then their portion below. Okay, and then in engineering for admin, so we decided we weren't going to do that. So we have drainage district research, that's 5,000. Planning and zoning, this is Amy's, our civil engineer's time for all the plan reviews on new building, new construction coming in at 400,000. And then the comprehensive plan update at 45,000. For parks, we have the river park master plan survey and topo flood study engineering at 124. And Pick Park surface irrigation water setup at 14,000 in engineering.
Before you get too far past the engineering, on the part for Amy, the 400,000, how much of that is passed through? Because if she's doing if we're, obviously, because I know how it comes in, and she's looking at a subdivision,
Yeah.
we ain't paying
No.
they are, so how much of that 400,000 is actually?
A large portion of it is, I would say that there's general civil dynamics fees, but if I was to look at this year's budget, I think we probably collect pretty much a lot of it, right? Like 300 and something, I don't know. Yeah, please, Jenica, go ahead and
Council members, mayor, council members, so the civil dynamics, okay, let me back up. So the fees that the city charges and that we collect for preliminary plat applications, annexations, all of those that are set in our fee schedule. The planning and zoning official, Ms. Stewart, has worked really closely and looked at the cost, the general cost. So what civil dynamics invoices are to review plats and things like that. So we have worked really hard to make sure that the fees that we're collecting upfront when applications come in are going to meet the needs of the review for that application. I believe that Ms. Stewart is also keeping track of if the developer goes over the cost of those fees. I can't say for sure, but I think that she is reaching out to developers and saying, hey, you've kind of exceeded your allowable red lines or whatever it may be. So I know that she is watching that very closely, but I believe that our fees are in line. We did a fee amendment a few years ago to change the cost of those fees to make sure that those got in line. With commercial review, plan reviews, civil reviews, those kinds of things, those are a pure pass, they are a true pass-through because the developer, the applicant, will pay for the cost of her time as part of their building permit issuance.
Okay, so most of that 400 that we budget, that's where that's coming from.
yeah.
That's what
And
I'm
I
saying.
pulled up this little sheet that I wasn't really planning on showing you guys tonight. This is out of my actual budget. We're looking at my actual budget working right now. This is residential building permits and what I'm estimating is going to come in next year. And in here, plan reviews is 310,000. I'm probably going to increase that more because what we don't do is in the past, we have not budgeted commercial because we haven't gotten a lot of commercial. But I think I'm gonna need to adjust that in this year's budget because I do think we're gonna have some more commercial. And if there is pass-through, so if that revenue is coming in and we're spending it out, and I'm not showing that revenue coming in, but I'm only showing it spending out, you know, then we have a,
No, I understand. That's kind of, someone watches this later wanted to understand that we don't spend $400,000,
Oh,
where that
no.
money comes from.
Oh.
I mean, that's, every time we approve bills, when, you know, we're like, oh, we're paying for public services. No, we're collecting the money, passing it through, but we have to show it.
yes.
I think that gets misconstrued at times within our
Yes.
budget.
So no, that was a great question, and thank you, Jenica, for help answering
Yes.
that. But we do pay close attention to what we're charging. Okay, so, any questions on the parks engineering? That was, kind of went through that and then we backed back up, okay. Flood plan review, 10,000, I think that's it for general fund. Information, so let's go back to capital. And let's go to water, start with water. Actually, I'd like to go over to wages and new hires because I do need some direction over here. So let's skip over to that, and just because we're coming close up for time. What I did here is I'm showing you 2024 salary, and the direction that I need from council and mayor tonight is what does the city want to do in 2025 for a cost of living increase or raises. And so what I did is I put together, this is what, with salaries only at 2024, what it would look like if we increased it 4%. I could change this to 3%, I can change it to 2%, I could say 0. It's up to you guys. I would like to know what you want.
What's the cost of living index this year? I haven't even looked.
So Chief and I were talking, and he was saying that it's at 4% last year or this year, but we were down 1% from the previous year for what we got from what it cost of living was. What is it this year? We don't know what the cost of living is right now, but we all know that inflation has gone up, that you go to the store to buy something, and I mean, I was at Costco with Billy, we threw together a little picnic, and I was walking around going, what? I mean, Costco, usually their prices are set, you kind of can count on them, that this is always going to be $19 or whatever, and then you go and it's $25. And so I had noticed that, so.
I would like to see the budget, if it would balance out, or what it's gonna look like, and compare the two with 4 to 5. I would lean personally towards the 5, since we were behind 1% last year, I do remember that. But it comes down to, we've gotta be able to budget.
Right. So I have set the budget at 5% is what I have been working on.
Okay.
And I am able to get that to work out, but I did not want
On the
to,
5%.
I did not want to assume.
I will defer to the rest of council, but I like the 5% myself.
That's what I was thinking, is fine, yeah.
Okay, and Wendy, question, is this percentage applied evenly across each of the entities listed? That'd be admin, police, public safety, et cetera.
Yes, it
So,
will. Yes,
so 5% over across the board.
yes.
It does not include
Okay.
council or mayor.
No, it doesn't. And thank you for bringing that up, Mayor,
Yeah,
because
not elected officials.
this year, I do believe that council, this next budget year is a council's opportunity to increase their salaries. I think you're
In the next budget cycle.
in the next budget cycle in July. So if that is something that you guys are thinking of doing,
Because it's
then I would want to
has
know that so that I can budget
has to
that.
be during a certain, which election year, and then it doesn't take effect till January 1.
Yes, and so that would put it into this budget that we're talking about.
Okay.
Councilman Murray?
We had discussed not a COLA increase, but a pay increase for our police officers to stay competitive. Is that in here?
Yes, so where that is,
Sorry, I'll go back to the other one in a second here. I just wanted to get that.
it
out
is
of the way.
already in here, so these numbers at the 5% are those police officers already receiving their pay increases in this budget year.
Okay,
Okay, so they'll be at that rate
so it's incorporated.
going
already.
into the 25 budget, and then this 5% will go on top of that
Okay.
for everyone.
Okay, and I'd like to jump on the next one here if I can. This is gonna make me, of course, the most popular person in town, but personally, I support giving us a raise. It hasn't been done in many, many years. And personally, you'll have to forgive me here, I work my ass off on behalf of this town, and yeah, exactly what you said. Inflation is high, times are hard, I've got a family, and I work for that money. It's not like I sit back and come to meeting twice a month and, collect the $500 stipend. So I support it, and I know that'll make me real popular.
Well, speaking about stipends, I am going to talk to you guys on our special council meeting where we're talking about the rates. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've tacked on to that. Our insurance broker is going to be coming that evening as well, and she's going to talk to you guys because on the water sewer fees and benefits tab of this worksheet that you guys have in front of you, our benefits are going up. They're going to go up 10%. Our deductible, out-of-pocket deductible is going up for a family to over $10,000. I am putting in this budget that the out-of-pocket expense for the employees does not change. So that means that the city is picking up that difference. Now I can't do the rate part, the 10% increase in the rates, the employees, that will be passed on. Now remember, the city pays 100% for the employees and 50% for their dependents. But the reason I'm having her come and talk to you is because not in next year, not in the budget that we're talking about here, but in 26, I really feel that the city can no longer sustain having this type of insurance, and that we're going to have to look at being either going to AAA or being self-insured. And both of those would require that the city remove the stipend for the people who do not take the insurance. And so what that requires in both of those situations is that everybody is insured. So you don't get to opt out. You have to be insured, but you can opt out as far as your family, but you as the employee, which the city will still pay 100% for the employee, will be on that plan. And so she's going to come because she's going to be able to explain that to you better. But I want to bring that up because currently, right now, all of council is taking the stipend, right? And so that will go away if I believe that you will come to that conclusion that for the good of the city, that we'll have to do some kind of a change. And so when you're looking at giving yourselves a pay increase, you should consider that as well, whether or not you're going to do that. Okay?
And the increase in cost of ICRAM, which has doubled in 2 years.
And
Our cost to ICRAM also has doubled over the last 2 years.
oh yes, I gave you that information.
Rob
last-
missed that. Did you get that letter packet, whatever it was? Rob?
Our liability insurance is going from,
Through the roof.
it's going up to $93,000,
2 years ago, was it what, 44?
40 some,
All insurance.
It's crazy.
This is something that Wendy and I sat and chatted with, and we should be coming in and really talk through some of the use cases of each one of our.
Can you speak closer to the phone so
I
Mark can hear?
can't hear you.
Sorry. This is something that Wendy and I spoke to Lindsay about in length because the situation of each one of the employees at the city, and we're really trying to understand like what is that cost going to be to the risks and benefits of when you have a family and you have to take them to the doctor, and do you have to make a decision to do that based on the cost of it. And so even as Lindsay comes to talk about the different types of programs that are available, that it will be part of, to be top of mind for you as well, so that we can, help support ourselves and help support all of the employees as best we can as a city, so that healthcare's rising,
Yeah.
but
And it affects everybody, but I will say that it really affects our police officers, because our police officers tend to be the younger, population in the city, and have families and everything, and as these costs continue to increase, it's so hard, it's already hard to get police officers because of how much benefits cost, and we have to stay competitive for them to be able to get them. And if these rates keep going up, then we all of a sudden can't be competitive, because you've got Caldwell and you've got these other cities that are on AAA or they're self-funded. And so,
How much longer do you estimate that we can stay on this plan?
this next year, and that's it.
Just one?
Yeah,
Okay.
Based on current rates.
based on current rates and what it's
It'll go
costing.
up.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Trust me, mine goes up every year. I pay
Yeah.
more and more for my family every year.
Yeah, because, total ER paid, employer paid benefits is $777,432.
I know we've had this discussion off and on, I mean, I've been around here for 10 years, for 8. And it's always been, even past council's goal was to provide the best benefit possible for our employees. As when we couldn't compete from a salary standpoint, we could more than make up for it in the benefit package.
And it is a very attractive package if you can get the employee to understand it.
Right,
You know,
no, I
so that's
understand
the
that,
other
and
part, is
that's- but it's-
explaining it so that they understand that
It's
the
pricing
city's
itself
paying
out.
$6,700 towards your deductible.
Yeah.
I mean, that is huge if you look at that.
Well, and it's the younger or older, it's those that have children that have to go in and understand it. If
Yes.
you don't, then you don't.
Yes. Okay.
And so what is that as compared to other cities' insurance policies for their for their staff and paid employees? Is it consistent that they do not pay the same way we do, or are we an outlier?
That's a great question, Councilman Christiansen. There's not, I don't know of any other place that pays a stipend like the city of Middleton does. So that's one thing that we do that I don't believe any other city does. I don't know on everything, but I know Lindsay, our broker, who's going to come and talk to you guys, will know. And I do know from talking to Sergeant Hilke, he's talked to other jurisdictions that have AAA, and he's a fan of moving to AAA. But even looking at the self-funded issue, I think that the city of Middleton will save more money doing a self-fund. It takes money. You have to put money into a separate impound, well, it's not really an impound account, but it's an account that you don't touch. It's like a savings. So it's a guarantee that money is there to pay employee claims. You don't
Well,
pay-
as
you
long
don't-
as it's less than 777,000, it makes sense. Might as well do it ourselves and be able to control the cost. I've seen a lot of companies that self-insure. Horizon is one of them. Horizon Air Alaska Airlines, and it was a significant benefit in most areas. There are some drawbacks, but if the total cost is $777,432, that's one heck of a lot of money that
And
maybe
that's-
we could allocate differently if we were self-insured.
Yeah, and that's why I'm bringing this up, is because this is hard. This is hard to swallow, and we have to make a change. We can't continue. I have David raising his hand.
Yes, Councilman Ray.
Do we know what percentage of our city employees take the stipend? So if we eliminate that, how many employees are we potentially going to?
That is on here. So there is 21 people on this, employees currently on this stipend right now, and that's costing the city $136,206.
So you would work the math on that, average it for, give me 1 second here.
So then we should, if we know we're heading that direction, then in this budget, we should have a savings right now for that. If that's the direction we want to go, then we should put money into that account now, so that as we make that transition, there's already some there. We're not trying to self-fund from the year's budget.
So that would be an elimination of 6,486 per employee on average that they would lose when we switch. So that's a big hit. If we eliminate that. Sorry, Rob, I didn't mean to distract what you're saying. I'm just,
What did you say that number was, 6,000 what?
if you divide the
Because you get
136 to a 6 by 21, 6,486.
That's exactly what it
gross,
is.
right? So the net is a little bit what they take home is
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I mean, that's something they rely on. They rely on that $6,500 roughly dollars before taxes. We eliminate that.
What they're relying on for that, or I don't know what they're relying on it for, but you're right. But it's given to them as an offset because they're paying medical costs through their spouse,
Right.
right? And that's why they're choosing to not be on our insurance.
Right, and I understand
Yeah.
all that. I'm just,
Yeah.
in my head, I'm imagining the impact of saying, you just lost $6,500 a year. But
Right.
hey, here's a 5% increase.
What we probably need to do is some research on competitive positions in cities of our size,
Yeah.
budget-wise, and talk about it at that time, because let's say we're paying our employees 10% higher than CUNA, which CUNA has a higher population now, but I'm just using that, then we're okay. But let's say take away the stipend, we're now 10% less than them, even though they don't get the stipend. We're gonna have to figure that out in the budget, and we're gonna have to work that way, if you so choose to go this route.
We'll have to address that, but I'm just thinking if we know this route's coming,
But
then
yeah,
we need to
not now.
financially prepare now.
Yeah.
I think Wendy has that.
I agree.
She already has that in kind of a account she's thinking about already. So
Well, thinking about, I don't see it on here. That's what I'm getting at. If we got all these other things we're saving for, why don't we see it on here as a savings?
I think
We're
so.
showing that money coming in, we're saving that money.
I think
For that
Sardelki has
purpose.
a comment on it.
So to jump on what Councilmember Murray said and what Monica said, the net for that every month is $200 because it's taxed at a bonus rate. So that $540, we get $200 of it.
So that's 2,400 a
Yes.
year.
So it's a
So
little,
it's not we're getting taxed for
It's not this-
$6,500, but we're
it's not the
getting
6,000.
$2,400.
right.
I didn't know it was taxed at that higher rate.
I think you're saving money.
God bless the IRS.
I wasn't aware that it was taxed at a bonus rate. It's not
So-
coming to you as a bonus, so it should not be taxed as a bonus.
Taxed at 55%.
Wow.
All right, we got about just a couple minutes for you to fly through something. that
So
you
let me
need to
think
fly
this
through.
real quick. We
Can I-
could give a raise
Can
of
I just-
$100 a month and save actually that 55% in taxes.
But then we're favoring those employees over the people who take, so it's.
We'd have to do it across the
It's
board.
gonna take a lot, yeah, it's gonna take a,
Okay, well,
Let's move
I
on.
have some direction. I'm gonna continue the budget at a 5%.
Yes, please do.
Hey, Wendy,
Yes, sir.
when I get back, I want to be careful with, I need to understand a little bit more about the 5% and how it's allocated across these positions, and what you said about the police, the raise given last year and then this year, and how that compounds. And again, it has absolutely nothing to do with the name of the department, zero. It just has to do with my understanding of the budget process and the numbers. But do you think you would be willing to sit down and talk about a couple of those things with me?
I'm always willing to sit down with whoever would like to sit down and go over.
Okay. I don't want to take up any more of everybody's time. Thank you, though.
So, Jason, if you wanna swing back up here, go fast, do not go into.
Jason,
great
you got like
detail.
a minute and a half.
All right. Water, we don't have,
Tim's gotta be out here by 8.
yes.
Yeah. Water, we don't have anything.
We don't have a lot of really outstanding stuff. We need to keep buying some meters. We need to think about painting our tank here in the next couple of years. We could start in on that with a pre-design that kind of addresses, figures out what structural improvements would need to be done to the tank, and then the design. But that actual construction is probably a year out.
What land acquisition do you have in here for water?
That, I believe, is we need to start saving for the boring we need across the Boise River to loop our south side together. That pipe installation is in the Quarry East Development Agreement. They can't go forward until that pipe is done, so they have a vested interest in getting that done, but
Did you see Boise?
there may need to be some property. So,
Okay. And then maintenance, just the normal,
largely the normal run of the course.
yeah, nothing out of the
items.
normal. Wastewater treatment plant, capital,
Yeah.
got the pilot study still going on.
We will, yeah.
Ted
The,
Works.
the one that brought up was decommissioning the existing lagoons. That is sort of something we could start on. That's sort of the phase 0 of the treatment plant expansion. You'll recall that with our new treatment plant, we're building a new, basically, treatment plant to the south where all those lagoons were. One of the first things we've got to do is fill those lagoons, and technically we need to decommission them because the state still considers them to be, we've put sludge in them and we never showed that the sludge is gone. So we're calling it decommission lagoons, but really it's a lot of fill going down there to build a nice pad to build a new treatment plant on.
Is it necessary?
It's necessary before you build your new plant. Is it necessary to do next year? Possibly not. It's a good opportunity to get a head jump start on it. It's going to be several months of work. We could add that to the front of our construction schedule, or if we had the funds, we could jump on it now. Kind of depends on how fast we want to go or how ahead of the game we want to get. So, but again, all the sewer stuff we're going to talk in more detail next Tuesday. So that's a good subject to kind of pass on today. Maintenance is pretty typical
Basic.
stuff. Wastewater collection is sort of the same stuff. We do have decommissioning the Hartley lift station still in there. We're not in a hurry to get that done, but it needs to be done someday. That's another sort of out there thing.
If I need to pull something, this is probably what I would pull out if I need to pull something to balance.
Yeah.
Maintenance looks normal.
Yes, continuing our search for leaks with our camera inspections, annual camera inspections. Yeah.
Okay, and the engineering in those departments, real quick. Sorry, Tim, we'll get this done real quick. Okay, we've taken out the engineering for the new campus, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I did not do that. Wait, no, for the new, is that new campus?
Yes.
Okay.
That can go away.
Okay. Taking it out here too. Okay, so engineering support looks like, 25,000, Boise Street water line replacement, 16, tank recoding design, 35,000, PRV maintenance and repairs, the 5-year plan for Powder River and Cemetery Road, 12,000, Boise River bore, well 10, water south area.
That's some SCADA work, or that bottom one is just SCADA
Okay,
work.
and then well 10 integration, that's SCADA.
Yeah.
Okay, and then engineering for the wastewater treatment plant.
There is still some money
32K is the-
remaining on that contract that's to help
for
us
the
with construction management.
Study.
Also to help if we needed to break the decommissioning into a separate bid project, that could be in there. You have some improvements on Whiffen Street we could break apart and do bid as a separate independent project. So there's some things we could spend some money on. If we end up getting to the bid point next year, that would be in there as well. We will also probably need to be thinking about, as we get to issuing a bond, doing a bond election, or going to an election to get spending authority, we will need some bond counsel, we'll need some bond financial counsel, which is, we're setting ourselves up for both of those things. We may even want some messaging assistance to explain what it is that people are voting on, and that's not uncommon to do. So those things are also possibilities for our sewer budget.
We're out of time, Tim's gotta go,
Yeah.
he's got
Yep.
30 seconds.
Yep. If you have any questions on this,
I'm
feel
good right
free
now.
to.
I'm sure we'll bring them up in our next meeting, but,
Yeah.
so.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm sorry I had to,
Oh, no.
I have a medical situation in
Mayor?
which I have to take care of.
Do you want to adjourn the meeting?
During the meeting.
Yes, it
Oh,
is
yeah.
8 o'clock. We're adjourning, and
Well, you still have a quorum.
Oh, we need a motion, don't we?
No, we don't need a motion and I don't even want to do that. Done.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say it's 3.
what is this?